What up, y'all? We are here for our weekend reflection message. Our cards are speaking to the moment, but they're also giving us a little hopeful glimpse ahead. So I'll get into what I mean and I'll show you the cards. So we have Jupiter in Cancer. Cancer is ruled by the moon. This card is the card of speculation. Followed by the moon in Pisces, which is empathy. Followed by the sun in Sagittarius, which is enthusiasm. And then underneath Jupiter in Cancer, which is speculation. Underneath speculation, we have Knight of Pentacles. Underneath empathy, which is moon in Pisces, we have the King of Wands. And underneath the sun in Sagittarius, we have Six of Cups. All right, I'm going to let you guys listen to the audio and then we'll be right back. Jupiter is now in its final stages in the sign of Cancer before it makes its way into fiery Leo sometime in June. This transit has felt heavy and emotionally arduous, but we are nearing its end with a deeper sense of compassion and a new level of consciousness. The last few years have felt extremely emotional and intense, and every crack in the foundation of our sense of safety and security has been exposed. We're coming out of this period with a newfound awareness of the interconnectedness of humanity, animal kind, and the environment. We're ruling our will and authority through the lens of empathy, compassion, and cooperation. Jupiter in Cancer was rough. Every emotion was heightened as our sensitivity to not only the subtleties of our own feelings, but those of others were intensified. Leo's fire will burn off the heaviness and replace it with gumption and enthusiasm, if not a little recklessness in the name of positive risk-taking. We have a renewed sense of hopefulness, belief, and passion for dreams we were beginning to sleep on because we have a new motivating force. We're not just trying to manifest our desires to satisfy our own dreams and wishes, but truly for what they can do for others. Receiving for the self alone loses its luster quickly, and thus we lose our desire and drive. But when we're on a mission for the sake of sharing and meeting the needs of not only ourselves but others, we are motivated with purpose. Higher purpose is like clean, renewable energy. It gives without taking. So first off, we have tomorrow, we've got a full moon in Sagittarius. But let's put a pin in that and focus right now on this energy of Jupiter and Cancer together and speculation. And then the influence of the Knight of Pentacles, which is like slow, trotting, plodding, maybe grounded practical steps, but it's not like fast movement. It's slow. It's like, it's laborsome sometimes. It's very like grounded in the physical, not fast and zippy. It can really make you feel impatient, right? It takes a lot of patience to be the Knight of Pentacles. So the last few years, Jupiter has been in Cancer. And the last few years have gone by really fast, and we might have forgotten about that whole thing when Jupiter moved into Cancer. But now that it has come up again recently, I'm like, oh yeah, I totally forgot about that. Well, Jupiter expands where it is and what it touches. And Cancer is about looking to make sure we're building security. Like Cancer wants to create a secure, safe space because it's so tender and fragile, right? The crab is like got this like little tender shell, and underneath it's just so sweet and soft and tender. And so it can be very defensive, but it tries to put extra defense around itself because it knows how exposed and vulnerable it is, right? The moon rules Cancer. Cancer's like super psychic and intuitive, but in a way that is like very experiential. Psychic in that specifically Cancers are very empathic, and they can land on a spectrum of their empathic intensity. And so being an empath, when you don't realize that you're an empath, and even after you realize you're an empath, it's very difficult to identify. And if you're not aware of it at all, you're not even thinking this way, but it's very easy to mistake other people's feelings and emotions for your own. Because when you are in a space and there's someone near you and they're secretly having a lot of grief, you can like feel that in your energy field. And so if you don't know about their grief and you don't know that you're an empath or what an empath is, you just feel grief and you don't know why. And it's like sadness washes over you. Or like you can take on anger, take on other people's fear. And so then you start becoming very astute about observing like the emotional states of others, and then feeling very responsible for managing other people's emotional states, so that you become a mesh, right? So the last few years, Jupiter going into this very like emotional, sensitive, empathic, wanting security, like wanting everyone taken care of, being very like aware of others' needs. Like Cancer's the mother of the zodiac, so it wants to provide not only that security and safety for the self, but for the brood, for the family, for the companions, for the neighbors, the surrounding village. So Cancer and Jupiter has been so magnified. Like Jupiter's really magnified every single theme that touches Cancer. So every little crack in our foundations of security and safety have been totally exposed. We've been carrying the weight of the world, quite literally, all the grief and the fear and the terror and the paranoia and the outrage and the surprise and the shock and the dismay, like all of it. We've been feeling all of these things in a way so that we can see so clearly and see to the point where we can't unsee all the things that are broken in our system, all the true threats lying under the surface the whole time, any instabilities or things that aren't working, so they can be revisited, dismantled, and rebuilt. So the emotions have been high, so that our attention has been gotten, right? But then in the meantime, we've learned how to become more emotionally sober, more emotionally intelligent and wise and resilient, so that we can feel our emotions, and we can learn and observe and take away information from our emotions. But our emotions don't control us, and they don't have control over us. We have self-control over our emotions. So we have gained some strength and some muscles in that department, but it's been a long time coming, right? It's been kind of a slow and arduous process through that journey. But we're coming to the end of it now, because I think at the end of June or sometime in June, Jupiter is finally moving into Leo, which is going to feel a lot more fiery and fun. And like Leo stands up for the underdog and like wants respect and wants things to be respectful. So whereas we learned a lot of compassion and empathy whilst we were in Jupiter was going through Cancer, we learned this empathy. We learned how to listen to others, be open-hearted, listen to the needs of others, be aware of that, and let our instincts inform us about things. And that Leo energy here with the King of Wands is coming, and we're going to have a lot more inner fire and authority and boldness and courage, and maybe even a little bit of a daredevilish quality to go out on a limb and take leaps of like risks and leaps of faith. Because I think that having this newfound sense of empathy and compassion, we can lead from that place with a greater sense of authority that we have, that we are serving God in that and not just our own desires. And so whereas we might have been sleeping on our dreams and we might have had like the weight of the world just kind of dampening our spirits and like dwindling our hopes, we've had a resurgence and a renewal, because maybe before our focus was more centered on meeting our own needs and fulfilling our own wishes and our own dreams for the sake of our own fulfillment. But now we see that there's such a greater need and a greater purpose for the desires and the talents and the gifts we were given. And so now we have this new sense of like momentum that is coming from a place of wanting to share and to give and to meet needs for others. So it's not only for our fulfillment alone, but to share and to bring fulfillment and goodness and healing and solutions to others as well. So to lift people up in the process, not just get ours and take care of our own, right? So because we are aligning with God's intention and God's will and not our own, I think that we have a greater sense of faith and a deeper sense of purpose and a deeper sense of like sort of devil may care confidence, because we know that the Creator is with us and because we're aligning with the Creator's plan. So we're believing that we're going to be supported if we are truly doing God's work, right? All right, and which brings us to enthusiasm, right? We have this new sense of confidence and enthusiasm, given that we are, we're not driven by our own will and selfishness. And so because of that, it's like we've kind of maybe let that dream die in a way. That dream didn't go anywhere. It just resurrected with a new purpose, with a new sense of purpose, with a new drive behind it. So now we're going back to that same dream, but with a renewed vigor and moxie and confidence and hopefulness and optimism that maybe we'd kind of lost touch with. All right, because we figure, we got nothing to lose and the world needs us, and we can see that now. And it would be better to die trying than not to try at all, because we think it's not going to work out, or because we're going to fail doing something that, is meaningful. And, maybe you never failed at all. Maybe you just didn't perceive your success through the eyes that could see it. All right, that is all for tonight. We will be back together tomorrow for Secret Teachings of Jesus. We're going to go deeper into the ideas that we were discussing last week in the Gospel of Thomas, saying 15. So if you'd like, I know this video is a little shorter, you can go, if you didn't watch Secret Teachings of Jesus last week and you want something more sort of a kill some time with, that's a really great episode, and it'll set you up for tomorrow night's episode. All right, peace. One last thought, as I started to edit the video, I remembered that I didn't mention, I started to talk about it, but I'm going to mention that there is also a blue moon in Sagittarius, which is the second full moon in a month at the very end of the month in May. So that is going to be amplifying all of that Jupiter energy and enthusiasm. But when this card was the sun in Sagittarius, when the moon is full, it's like it's perfectly aligned with the sun so that it is reflecting the full light of Source. Does that make sense? So something about our growth culmination is going to be coming to a full reflection of the light of Source. And through that, through our earnest change, whatever we gave Jupiter to work with, that will be the light revealed on the other side of that. Tomorrow is a new moon in Taurus, where we are planting seeds that will hopefully be coming into fruition by October. So that's also something to consider. All right, you guys. Ciao for now.